Today, you're gonna learn about 3 things you did not know about soap making, and one of them is going to make you rethink everything. Number 1, most commercial soap isn't real soap. It's actually a mixture of surfactants like sodium lauryl sulfate that are chemical compounds, detergents that are very good at foaming and removing fat. And sometimes too good because they can really dry out the skin. Real soap comes from the saponification reaction between oils and lye, otherwise known as sodium hydroxide, that produces soap and glycerin. That's the old traditional saponification reaction that has been happening for thousands of years and that we still use today. So basically what happens is that the sodium hydroxide is a base and it reacts with the fatty acids of your oils, which are acidic, to create a salt called soap. So real soap is a soap that is made through the saponification reaction, not sulfates. Now here's the thing. Here in Europe, there are actually a lot of brands and a lot of products in the stores that label themselves as soap. In reality, it's a mixture of surfactants like sodium lauryl sulfate that strip away the natural oils from your skin. And here's where it gets really interesting. In the US, the laws are completely different. So from the Federal Drug and Cosmetic Act, a product is only considered soap if it consists of the alkali salts of fatty acids. Basically means if it comes from the saponification reaction. And this is the strict restriction that your soap needs in order to be labeled as soap in the US. In Europe, unfortunately, we don't have this law, and a lot of brands are saying that, oh, dish soap, hand soap, when in reality, it's not. If you're interested in soap making, I have a beginner's recipe that I can send it to you for free. It's a balanced recipe that contains coconut oil, olive oil, shea butter, and castor oil. It's easy to make. I have a step-by-step instruction. Just comment recipe and I will send it to you for free. Number 2 thing that will surprise you. The first soap ever made was basically an accident, and it was made thousands of years ago. And the way it was made was that, legend has it, there was a shepherd in ancient Babylon and he had a fire. At the end of the night, he wanted to light off the fire. So he added animal fat on top of the fire to light it off. So the animal fat reacted with the wood ash and it started producing bubbles. So he woke up the next morning and he saw bubbles foaming out from the wood ash. So what happens is that wood ash contains a lot of potassium hydroxide, and potassium hydroxide is basically another type of lye like sodium hydroxide. Usually it leads to liquid soap or like a softer type of soap than sodium hydroxide, and that potassium hydroxide reacted with the animal fats to produce soap. And this was how soap was produced back in the days. So they would literally take wood ash, they will have a process where they would filter it out and only take the potassium hydroxide. So basically they would put it in a big bucket, they would fill it with water and try to only take the liquid that come out filtered from the bottom, which would contain a high concentration of potassium hydroxide, and then they would mix that with animal fat. It was quite a rough process. This was the soap that was used for centuries until we learned how to purify potassium hydroxide, we learned how to purify sodium hydroxide, and we started making soap with those pure products. And number 3, we think of soap as something that is only used for the body, for the hands, and maybe for the face as well. But in reality, you can make cold process soap that has many different applications. First of all, you can make soap that has a high concentration of coconut oil that makes it very cleansing, and use it for your dishes. You can literally clean your dishes with cold process soap, and it works perfectly fine. And you don't need, hundreds of different ingredients like the labels of your store-bought soap. You can literally make it with 3 ingredients. You can use coconut oil, water, and sodium hydroxide. And then if you want to add a scent, that's also perfect, but those 3 ingredients are enough to make a dish soap. You can make a soap for the floor, like literally like a soap that you can clean the floor with, and that works perfectly fine. Usually you make this with potassium hydroxide because it leads to a softer paste, and then you mix it with water, and then you have a beautiful soap to mop the floor with. You can make shaving soap, and this is perhaps one of my favorite soaps to make. It has a very high concentration of shea butter that adds creaminess, and a high concentration of castor oil that will add a very thick lather. And this is exactly what you need when you make soap for shaving. And then you can also make a shampoo soap. So a shampoo soap is basically a soap that can be used for the hair, but this is a bit tricky though, because soap by nature is something that is very basic, meaning that it has a high pH. So it has a pH of 9 to 10. You can drop the pH slightly below 9, but you can never make it neutral, because otherwise the saponification reaction will not happen. When you wash your hair with shampoo soap, it's totally possible, but you might be risking long term to actually dry out your scalp, because the pH of your scalp is actually 4.5 to 5. So you put something very basic to something acidic. Therefore, if you want to wash your hair with shampoo soap, it's recommended to use some conditioning agent afterwards, or back in the days what they used to do is that they would wash with vinegar and water afterwards, like they would flush their hair with vinegar and water to balance the pH down. Instead, what I like to do, instead of using shampoo soap, I like to make shampoo bars with mild surfactants and with nourishing ingredients like provitamin B5 and vitamin E that are pH balanced, and they make an amazing lather. So if you enjoyed this video, please let me know your thoughts below. I would love to hear which one of these things surprised you the most, and we can have a discussion about it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I could add some value to you today by watching this video, and I'll see you next time.